What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Lions Den Sports Podcast. Here with yours truly, Chase Gispert, and my man
David Zieske.
And we're about to bring you some sports as usual. So let's start off with the NBA and the playoffs, because that's going on right now. So first round games, the series had ended, all of them except Memphis and Minnesota last week when we mentioned that. I think we predicted Memphis in 6. We got that right. And first of all, how about Ja Morant? 47 points, I believe, in Game 2. He just absolutely took over. I watched that game in the fourth quarter. Joy to watch. And that series is tied at 1. That's really exciting.
It's going great right now. I mean, we have we have 2 really close matchups, and so far the other 2 are looking one-sided right now.
Yeah.
So it's getting really
and
tough.
that other close one would be Boston and Milwaukee. So Milwaukee, both of them have been blowouts. Milwaukee blew Boston out in Boston. Even though Milwaukee's defending champs, they are a lower seed. And Giannis looked too much, but then Boston, I want to say they made 23s in Game 2. They just were shot the lights out the gym. So that should be a good series. I think Golden State will probably edge Memphis, but Ja's kind of coming into his own, announcing himself on the biggest stage. So I think it'll still be a good series. I think Memphis can at least win one more, perhaps. The only negative thing from a Grizzlies standpoint, so Ja had 47. He literally gave them everything and then some, obviously, with that stat line. But Clay and Steph, I'm trying to remember the exact numbers. I want to say they shot a combined 16 for 44 from the field, which is obviously not good at all, especially they're arguably 2 of the greatest shooters of all time. Steph's pretty much undoubtedly, and you could argue Clay's right up there too. And I don't think that's going to happen again. And then on top of that, they still almost won with Ja going off like he did. So Grizzlies definitely going to have to get points from other people.
And then we have Phoenix versus Dallas. Phoenix taking over. One person I constantly feel bad for, Luka. He's, scored 45 the first game and 35 the second game, carrying his team. I mean, you have these key players like Brunson and such that should be kind of showing up kind of behind him. Obviously, not at the same level, but should support him.
While you're talking about
and
that.
It's really rough when you have one player basically doing. I hate saying it like that, but when
he's
scoring,
pretty much doing everything.
You're scoring 45, and your next runner-up is scoring like 15, 16. It's
Brunson
really
had a
rough to do.
terrific first-round series against Utah, but he played really poorly last night. I'm trying to look at Game 1 as well. He only scored 13, so he's not playing very well. Really, anyone, like you said, besides Luka, they're just not scoring.
And then you have Chris Paul, Booker, and all that.
I'm happy for Chris Paul.
Yeah.
I was obviously mad that we lost to the Suns. I was at Game 6. I think I mentioned that in the last podcast, but he's just a New Orleans legend. So, I pull for him in the playoffs. And then the other series we didn't mention, the other one was Miami versus Philly. I like Philly sports because my dad's side lives up there, so I support their teams for the most part. But, I thought they'd give more of a series. Joel Embiid has been out, though, in fairness. So, he's arguably the MVP this year.
Yeah.
That kills him. But, man, James Harden, he's kind of fallen off the face of the earth. He used to – he's still putting up points, but it's just not anywhere near the clip he used to be at. I don't really know what happened. He's starting to, go like that.
You want that. This kind of really shows that, it's good to have a superstar on the team, but you need depth. You know what I mean? And if you don't have that and that one player goes out, it just falls apart. And this is just kind of showing that. I'm not saying they're getting, blown out by 50 points each game, but, at the same time, you need that kind of superstar chemistry.
Miami's got a lot of good – it's kind of funny, though, because I guess Jimmy Butler's – he's their star, but I wouldn't call him a superstar. They're just a very well-rounded
But they have
team.
multiple, Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero. He won 6th Man of the Year. Bam Adebayo is really solid, young, big. I have Victor Oladipo. They have him, too. I think Kyle Lowry as well, I want to say. I don't know if he's been hurt or what, but
that's the thing.
Looks
they
like
have
the
a lot
Heat.
of key players, you know what I mean? Not superstar, but some star-studded.
Right.
So, you have any last-minute thoughts on any NBA stuff?
Trying to think, really, just I covered Ja. That was just breathtaking performance. Sometimes I think the Pelicans could have picked him. Obviously, it looks like you would take him right now over Zion. I'm not going to give up on Zion. He seemed excited. I don't know if you saw the video of signing an extension after seeing It kind of is annoying though. He's like had to make sure the team was good, but I mean, I guess from that perspective, whatever. But if he comes back and he's anything like he was his rookie year, he's healthy, the Pelicans will be a threat in the playoffs next year. So that's exciting.
And then up next, we're gonna go into a segment that my colleague right here, my partner, is kind of lacking on. But we're gonna be talking about the NHL. Yes, Louisiana isn't a big hockey stake, but it's just really big going on right now.
It's in the
start of the playoffs, and I'm just going to touch on the first round right now and some key things going on. So we have the number 1 seeded Colorado versus the wild card 2 Predators. It's 1-0 right now. Colorado won that game, blew them out. Nothing really you can do. First starting goalie for Predators allowed like 5 goals on 13 shots, if I'm not wrong, and just took them out the game. I think late first or early second period, just because it was rough. I think they ended up winning 7-2. And then you have number 2 Wild versus the Blues. Right now they're playing at Minnesota. The series is tied 1-1. Fleury, who just came from the Blackhawks, taking over. He's their starting goalie right now. Talbot is good, but he's going to be probably starting in the later games. But 1-1 right now, really good series. Then we have Calgary versus Dallas. Calgary is just these are 2 really good defensive
Canada,
teams.
Right?
Yeah,
Calgary,
Canada. And then Dallas. These are 2 really good teams. Game 1 was played. Game 2 is playing tonight. And the series is 1-0, Calgary up. In the first game, the final score was 1-0. They scored 1 goal in the first period, and then they just defensive the rest of the game. So this is going to be a really good series defensively. And then we have 2 offensive teams. We have the Oilers, Edmonton Oilers versus the LA Kings. Oilers lost the first game to the Kings off of a goalie mistake by Mike Smith, passing it in the open gap that ultimately leaded to a last-minute goal, kind of a game-winning goal. It wasn't in overtime, if I'm not wrong, but it was pretty rough. And then the second game, Oilers just took over. I think they won 6-0 or 6-2 or something like that, and they have Draisaitl and McDavid, 2 of the best players in the league. So just a really good combo right there. And then we have number 1 seeded Panthers versus another wild card Washington. Everyone thought that the Panthers were going to win, like sweep this series. Well, a decent amount because they were, if I'm not wrong, they had the most points at the end of the season. Really good team. And
where are they from?
They're Miami.
I'm thinking Carolina. That's the NFL.
Yeah. And the Panthers, actually, they're having a really rough end of the season. They played the Lightning in the regular season, I think on the third or second to last game. They ended up getting blew out, and after that it just they don't seem the same. And Washington picked up game 1 at Miami, which is pretty rough.
I just think it's funny that Miami has a hockey team as hot as it is.
We're about to talk to another one, Tampa. Yeah. Tampa has a team, back-to-back defending champs. Are playing number 2 seeded Toronto in Toronto right now, and the series is 1-1.
Maple Leafs?
Yeah, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's 1-1 right now. The first game, Toronto blew out, and then the second game, it wasn't a blowout, but it was, I think, 5-1 up in the third period, and then Toronto scored 2, so it was 3-2. They got a last-minute power play, so Toronto it was 6 versus 4 because they took out the goalie. 6 versus 4, and it was really tough on the ice. And then they ended up stopping that power play, got the penalty kill, and then ultimately won 5-3. Then we got number 1 Carolina versus wild card number 1 Boston. Carolina is destroying Boston right now. I can't really say anything else. I mean, even though they're at home and they're about to go to Boston, maybe it'll change.
Do you like the Bruins? Is that one of your teams or not really?
I love all the teams. I mean,
I think I saw you with the Bruins hat before.
Yeah,
he's got a collection of hats though for y'all that don't know. True sports
Boston
fan
has
right here. So.
Boston has some good history though. So
that's a great sports town.
And then it's 2-0 right now. Main thing is in game 2, it was sort of close, and then Pasternak on Boston hit Carolina's goalie Raanta. He's a foreign name. I'm sorry, I can't really pronounce his last name, but just straight up hit him, bloodied his face. I mean, you mess with the goalie, you mess with the whole team. It's kind of like a player rule. So Carolina is not going to take that lightly, and I don't see Boston winning one in this series. Even at home,
think it's going to be a sweep.
I think it's going to be a sweep. Just Carolina is that powerful, and when you mess with a goalie, it's almost like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just a lovable guy. It's like the manager on a sports team. Right. You don't mess.
It's
with
like the team captain.
Yeah.
I do see one thing before you go into the last matchup. So there's 4 people with number 1 seeds. How does that work?
So there's you have 2 conferences and 4 divisions, and in each division you have 8 teams.
Okay.
And then you know the number 1 seed are those. They take the top 3 of each division, and then you have 2 wild cards for each conference. So
is that new-ish? Have they added on teams to the playoffs?
They have added 2 teams, not to the playoffs, but they've
how many teams make it? Oh, you mean?
So it always starts off with 16. It's just during COVID, I think they changed up the tournament format because of COVID and the different things they were having to do with that. But for that, I mean, and then but we do have 2 new teams. Seattle Kraken just came in the first year this year. Rough first year, but lovable team. I don't see anyone not liking them. And then the Vegas Golden Knights, half love, mostly hated. You know, Vegas Golden Knights.
It's like a ripoff of the. Oh, never mind. I'm thinking the Kings. They're the Knights. The Knights aren't a team. The Kings are a team.
Yeah, the Vegas Golden Knights barely missed the playoffs because of some heavy injuries. But anyway, we'll move on to the last matchup. My favorite matchup: number 2 Rangers versus number 3 Penguins. Penguins are up 1-0. They're playing They play the first game at New York, and they're playing the second game at New York. But here's the thing: the Penguins starting goalie Tristan Jarry got hurt before the playoffs, so he was out. So what do you have? You have a second string and third string goalie. Second string goes in. Amazing game by him, but in second overtime. It goes in the second overtime. It was 3-3. Goes in the first overtime. No one scores. Second overtime, no one scores. Actually, they went into the third overtime, if I'm not wrong. In that third overtime, Casey DeSmith, their second string goalie, gets hurt. So they bring in the third string goalie.
This is the Penguins?
This is the Penguins.
And they still won.
They still won. They brought in the third string goalie. He's played 3 games in the NHL all season. Okay? He's played some with the AHL affiliate.
What an introduction.
Yeah. He comes in, makes 18 saves against a powerful Rangers offense. It was an amazing game to watch, but the rough part is Rangers, they get to play against a team without their first and second string goalie for this next game. So Domingue, that's the third string goalie.
And at home, you would think they gotta win if they want to have any shot. If
they lose this game, the charisma for the Penguins squad right now is just up
the next
in the
2
roof.
Games will be at Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh,
yeah.
so
because it's the same format as the NBA with the home and away, 2-2, 1-1-1.
But that's a tough series. These games are really nice to watch. The only really series that I'm seeing like a sweep in is the Carolina-Boston series. Other than that, these teams, it's a real battle.
Every series 7 games?
It's not? Best out of 7. So first to 4 wins.
Okay, so it's exactly like the NBA.
First 2 games for the higher seed. Second 2 games for the lower seed. Then it goes high, low, high. But yeah, I mean. That's the first round for the first 1-2 games for each series, kind of summed up for us, and now we're going to kind of move on to Southeastern sports.
Southeastern. So I'll start off baseball. They got their last home series of the season against Houston Baptist, Southland Conference opponent. Despite that, we're 19-25 overall. I believe we're 9-9 in
I think so.
The Southland. So not bad, because we've had a tough out-of-conference schedule. We're actually only 2 games out of first place, if you could believe that. Because I want to say it's UNO, McNeese, and Nichols. I want to say those are the 3. I could be wrong. I want to say those are the 3 that are all 11-7. So Southeastern still got the regular season title opportunity to play for, and then obviously the all-important Southland Conference tournament. Whoever wins that's going to get the automatic bid. So they got Houston Baptist this weekend, senior night on Sunday. And then Tuesday, go to Baton Rouge. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
And then that'd be awesome if we could win that, because we've beaten Ole Miss and Arkansas already this year. That'd be the 3rd powerhouse SEC team that Southeastern is taking down. And then in the series at Nichols, that's going to be a huge one, because I called the game. We opened up this season in Southland Conference play, the first series, at home against Nichols, who was preseason picked dead last in the Southland. And they're tied for first now, and we were picked first. Kind of having a disappointing year. We need to get some revenge on that. I mean, they swept us at home.
I was
that was
there.
Shocking.
I was covering.
He was covering for us, the Lions roar. we got to win that series at the very least. That's going to be a big one.
We can technically have a positive record.
Right, and maybe if we can't come up with the Southland, at least knock Nichols out of it, kind of like they did to us in football. So, back in the fall. And then softball, I'm calling the doubleheader actually tomorrow. That's a last series of the season, Northwestern State. So Southeastern's in second place, 1 game behind McNeese. And then Northwestern State's in third, one game behind Southeastern, 2 games behind McNeese. McNeese plays Nichols, I want to say. I don't think their record's very good. But it's at Nichols, so we need them to at least lose a game. It's going to be a huge series. And then we're hosting the Southland tournament in Hammond. So,
really?
Yeah, Southeastern softball is, so that'll be big. Southeastern 34-14 on the year. They're having a really good season. It kind of sucks that McNeese's conference. I want to say we're 11-4, and McNeese is 12-3. I want to say.
Yeah, it's really close.
But we'll see what happens there. And then
you may kind of go into that.
Yeah, so golf won the Southland tournament.
First place. They got their ticket into the NCAA tournament.
Right, huge. And they won by 10 strokes too.
Yeah, it was rough for any other team playing Southeastern just because the total strokes just went off.
Right, yeah. And that was our 3rd tournament win of the season too, which might not sound like a lot, but for golf, like that's really good.
Yeah, they haven't won in golf. Actually, my great uncle played golf for Southeastern, and he won. I don't know if it was Southland at the time because I don't think Southland was.
It is the 5th. I want to say it's the 5th championship in history. Go check out my article. I read an article on it.
Shout out
on Lions Roar. Yeah, it's under sports. Or just look up my name, Chase Gispert. But yeah, if you wanted some more info on that, and then you want to go ahead.
Yeah, we gotta bring him up. We're hoping Joe Kaspersick gets picked for the NBA draft. Number 1 overall. Nothing. I'm not gonna shy away from the fact that he's the GOAT. So
yeah, definitely.
I can't wait to see you pick number 1 overall.
Is he playing next year, or is he graduating?
He's graduating. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he's graduating.
He's graduating.
Well,
in all honesty, I don't think he's declaring for the draft. He might, but I'm not sure. But real quick, actually, since we're talking about that, Keon Clergeau, I think, is going. He's graduating, but he's going to a European league.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So I mean, hey, that's something. And then
I know Gus Okafor. He was going to be our best player this year with Clergeau and Hinton. I think graduating, and he just transferred to Wichita State, which is tough. But you got to be happy for him. They're a big time program. So
we've gotten some good in the transfer portal and for commits. I mean, we've gotten some pretty good players.
Coach Kiefer keeps reloading, so that's good to see. And hopefully they're good next year. That's pretty much it. I think so. I know tennis finished up their season. They had a lot of injuries. They didn't do the best.
A lot.
Who else am I missing? Beach volleyball. They had 4 girls named to all Southland rather. Yeah. They didn't have too bad of a season. They got bounced in the 2nd or 3rd round, I think, of the Southland tournament.
Yeah, I think it was double elimination. And they
track and fields had a really good year just with individuals like setting personal records and stuff of that nature. I know Christian Jackson, I think shot put, discus, maybe. I'm not sure the other event she does, but check out Last Week in Sports. It should have the info on that. Also written by me. Shout out. But yeah, you got any last thoughts, David? Or
I mean, I think that was a pretty good video. I mean, pretty good summary of what's going on in today's sports. We plan on during the summer, occasionally. I mean, it's going to probably be
delayed, not weekly, but we'll try to pop in here and out or here and then, especially with the NBA and NHL. We're starting to wind down. So one thing I do want to add for all my soccer watchers out there, that Man City Real Madrid. I don't know if you watched the Champions League. That was insane comeback by Real Madrid. So they play 2 legs. They like home and away. And they combine the scores, and whoever has the most goes through. So Man City won 4-3 at home. Then they played in Madrid for the return leg. City was up 1-0, and it was in the 90th minute. They played 90 minutes, so they're up 5-3 on aggregate. Real Madrid scored twice in like 2 minutes time, at the end. Sent it to extra time, and then they got a penalty and made that. Went up 3-1 and 6-5 on aggregate. So it's going to be Real Madrid versus Liverpool in Paris. I believe the 28th. I think it's Saturday or Sunday, but that's going to be an awesome one. And Liverpool's going for the quadruple, so they're 1 point behind Man City in the Premier League. They won the League Cup over Chelsea on penalties, and they play Chelsea again in the FA Cup. So any of my soccer watchers out there,
I think I saw something.
Definitely exciting. And then the World Cup coming up in the fall.
Yeah.
So.
Bayern Munich, I'm sorry, I'm the worst with names, but them and another team are actually playing at Lambeau Field in
I did
Wisconsin.
See that.
Yeah, for like an American kind of showcase.
Is it PSG?
Either them
I'm
or
not
real.
Sure. It's an exhibition match,
yeah.
but it's over the summer. That's in Lambeau. It'll be the first soccer match hosted at Lambeau Field, so that's definitely a landmark.
A lot of European sports leagues and American leagues are kind of crisscrossing because we have some NFL games this upcoming season that are being played.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a few years now, where the big clubs will come and just play preseason in America for the fans, just the experience for them to get to see the country and all.
And real quick, I think I saw something about how what is it called, the Seattle Sound won the CONCACAF.
They won the CONCACAF Champions League, and it's the first team from America to win. So. That's big because usually I don't keep up with that as much as Europe, but I would assume I know the Mexican league's probably considered stronger.
Yeah, they're really good.
And I would think the teams from there would probably dominate and win almost every time. But yeah, that's a big achievement, Seattle Sounders.
But I think that's pretty good. I mean, pretty sum up of all the sports going on, and not even just America and not just Southeastern. Just
all right.
Really good.
And last thing before we wrap it up real quick, any students out there, good luck to y'all in your finals and all that. I wish you the best. And that's going to do it for the Lions Den Sports Podcast. I'm Chase Gispert.
I'm David Zieske.
And we'll be back for the next episode. See ya.